On this episode of FNF Q&A, I don't know any of the questions in advance, and we ended up talking about a whole bunch of stuff that I can't remember right now. So just watch the show.
Ask away. It's FNF Q&A.
Hey everyone, welcome to FNF Q&A 29. I'm Benjamin J, and as always, thank you for checking out the show. We just got back. This is our first week back from our Thanksgiving break. Hope everybody had a good holiday if you were celebrating that, and if you were doing Black Friday shopping, hope you got the deals that you were looking for. Before we get into the questions, since we've been doing this for a year, I wanted to take an opportunity to kind of reintroduce the show. This show is intended for us to be able to share our salon experience for you to help grow your salon business. Over the past 35 years, we've had an amazing family business that has been able to continue to grow, and at 35 years isn't just here, it's actually thriving. And so we want to be able to share that experience with you so that your businesses can continue to grow. Our main objective is to enhance people's lives. And I can't think of a better way to do that in the salon industry other than sharing our experience, being able to grow a business with you so that you can in turn go and grow your own business. If you have questions for the show that you want me to answer, you can always inbox them to me. Classes at ffsaloneducation.com. You can leave them in the comments below. And one of the things that we're doing with the videos is we're basically keeping them anonymous so that you don't feel like you're out in public or that you have to be nervous about being put out there. So with that, let's get into the questions for this week.
Do you believe handing out business cards play an important role in asking for referrals?
That's a good question. To be honest, we print business cards in our salon for our team, but I personally don't really like them. The reason being, I have never held on to a business card for me to save to people. You know, if I want your number, I will just put it, like we all have these devices, I will just put it in my phone when I want it. I think that nowadays most people, if they want to recommend somebody, they'll say, check them out on Instagram, find them on Google Maps. They remember the name of your business. If I was more freelance or independent, perhaps I would, because I would feel more of a need to be self-promoting as opposed to business promoting. But even then, I don't know if I really feel like they're that important, to be honest. It's kind of one of those things where I guess it's necessary to have, but I just question whether it is or not. So I would say get them, but don't spend a fortune on them, and don't order 1 million. Just order your minimums at 250 or 500 or whatever, and just have them in your stockpile and hand out if you want to.
Don't order 1,200.
Oh, okay. I want to share that story. All right. So, when we first opened the salon, we had the most beautiful paper that we wanted. It was the exact proper cardstock, exactly what we want. Of course, as soon as we order, our printer says that it's been discontinued. So we, being heartbroken over losing our cardstock, decide to just buy everything that's still available. Years go on, we keep printing everything on this cardstock, and I get to a point where every time I order, my printer's telling me, I don't know if we're going to have enough cardstock left in order for us to print what you're ordering. So I eventually get to a point, I say, you know what, just print as many business cards as we can on the cardstock that's left. Now in the years past, we would go through maybe 1,000 to 1,500 cards a year. He doesn't give me the quantity, he just says, okay, I'll print the rest of the cards. I get 12,000 business cards. 12,000. I'm going to have these for the next 20 years, all because I didn't know how much paper was left. So I guess when you're ordering, make sure that you know your quantities, because man, we are going to have those cards forever. So, whoops.
What do you believe are some pros and cons to being a post-rental stylist?
Let's see, pros and cons to being a freelance stylist. Well, we'll start with pros. This is kind of a challenging question because it's not my format, but I'm trying to put on a different hat so that I can I can be understanding this. So I think the pros would definitely be being able to go your own path, right? You don't necessarily have to fit into somebody else's system. You get to kind of choose perhaps your hours, what kind of products you want to carry, maybe the classes that you want to take. So there is definitely a lot of freedom in that sense. But I think that the con is also, it's also like the reverse side of the pro, meaning, well, there's a lot of freedom for you to do what you want to do. There's also a lot of freedom for you to kind of get lost in. And I think that that's where, you see a lot of people saying like, oh, well, my client texted me this, and they're texting me at 11:30, and it's like, well, that's because you don't have a reservations team or a website for you to be booking that kind of stuff. I think that there certainly is con in having to pay for all of your own products on your own, versus when you're in a team, we're able to consolidate that, or everybody's working together, so everybody's paying for the product. And then the financial side, I think that there's a huge con when it comes to having to make sure that you're profitable, having to make sure that you're paying your taxes properly, that you're saving, for either a retirement or vacation pay or however. Now that's not to say that either side is right or wrong. I just think that there's a lot more hardships going into being freelance that people don't think about in advance. If you've got all that stuff covered and you still feel like it's the right path for you, then by all means, go for it, right? I would never tell anybody not to do it and that there's only one right path. I just know that the team environment is my environment, and so that's why I'm very pro on that side. So I hope that helps a little bit. It may come off as being a little negative towards freelance, but that's not the intention. It's just that's the world that I live in, so that's what I know.
As an owner, do you believe it is important to bond with your stylist outside of the salon? Would you ever go out for drinks with your employees?
Ooh, are you doing this because I don't hang out with you guys as much anymore?
Maybe.
I think that it's important to foster that culture. I think that there's a great quote that I just got from a class that I just took that said, without a relationship, or rules without a relationship cause rebellion. And so I definitely think that building a relationship with your team is important, but you have to know how far to push that relationship. Going out for drinks, perhaps on a Saturday, if it's not, a crazy over the top kind of Saturday, would be okay. But doing it on like a Wednesday and then having to be at work the next morning, it's really hard for you to, if somebody comes in hungover or late, it's really hard for you to be able to be in a position to be like, look, this is unacceptable, even though I was there with you last night. And so I think that that's really where you have to know where the line is, and everybody's line is going to be different, so there's no way to say like yes or no. But I think that it's important to foster the friendship and the relationship and the team building and be a part of some of those things. But as the owner or managers and leaders, you do still have to be able to create a little bit of separation. So it's a tough position to be in, to be able to do both those things. But I think that both sides are very important. So you have to figure out for yourself how to make that balance.
Is practicing scripts a system your salon practices?
I think that there's a few places that everybody scripts stuff, and the phone, how we answer the phone is probably the one universal thing that everybody scripts, or at least I think everybody scripts. After that, I would say that it's scripted in the sense of like we have things that we want to hit, but we don't necessarily have like these are the words you're going to say. So phone, we'll just stick with the phone example. If we were answering the phone, we'll always say, thank you for choosing the Hair Loft West Loop, thank you for choosing the Hair Loft River North, whichever location they're at. This is Ben, how may I help you? But from there, it's completely dependent on how the guest responds to that question. So basically at that point, the script is you need to find out who they are, when they want to come, what they want to have done, and what location they want to be visiting. But somebody could say that all right up front, and so there's no necessary way to script the responses. We do have examples of dialogue that we want to be using, such as reservations instead of appointments, design floor instead of our styling stations, things like that. But so yes, we're scripted in the sense of like we have scenes, but we don't necessarily script the exact words because we don't want to strip people of their personality. We want every individual to kind of stand out and be who they are, but we also want them to be within the world that we are trying to craft. So that's how we do our scripting and our dialogue coaching.
What are some ways you can make men more comfortable in your salon?
Some ways to make guys more comfortable in the salon. Well, first, let's start with why that would even be important. All right, so by not necessarily catering to guys, but by making men comfortable in the salon, we're able to create an environment that they want to come to. And the advantage for guys the advantage of having men in the salon is that from a business perspective, they tend to have a little higher frequency of visit. So even though our highlights and our color surfaces, they have a higher ticket price, oftentimes they're really stretching out their visits. Whereas men might have a smaller service price, but they are more frequent in their visits. So if you actually checked your numbers, you might be very surprised to find that some of your male clientele are probably some of your top clients. So that might be why we want to have an environment that they're going to be comfortable in. From a business perspective, I think that from a artistic or creative perspective, it's nice to kind of change it up so that you're not necessarily doing or feeling like you're doing just the same work over and over. But so what are some things that we can do? I think that one of the simplest things is making sure that you have magazines that cater to men as well. Like I'm looking over at a stack, and while we do have Vogue and Marie Claire, I also see we've got GQ, we've got Details, Esquire, right? So at least while he's here, he's not going to feel like he can't do anything or that this isn't the place for him. I also think that the imagery that you use in the salon, if you have posters hanging up with either your work or work from the brands that you represent, it would be a good idea to make it not solely women focused. You know, if you've got 4 poster spots, try and have one of them be a guy's image and then the other 3 be women's images or something like that, so that again, he's not just seeing women's images. From a decor perspective, like if you kind of look at our color scheme, we try to keep it pretty universal. You know, we've got some pops of pink, but we also have a lot of browns. We've got some neutral tones. We wanted it to be something that looked fresh, but was also welcoming to all genders, right? Because when a guy sits into a salon and it's purple and pink and it looks real girly, he's not going to feel comfortable there. And so he may not even come in, let alone come in to see how it goes one time. But those are all simple things. You know, it's all a bunch of simple stuff. The way that we talk to guys, I think, needs to be different. Using things like, this product's going to volumize your hair. No, it's going to bulk up your hair. Like, use a stronger dialogue that sounds better for him. We're going to taper this, or don't use words like thin. No guy's like, I want to thin out my hair. So that would be my advice for how to make your salon a little bit more comfortable for guys. We go into a lot more of this kind of stuff in our email class, which I know is going to be coming up sometime soon in the new year. But we go over, men's cutting theory. Then we do some hands-on work, and then we also talk about men's business and really elaborate more on a lot of the stuff that I just shared. So this was episode 29. Thank you so much for checking us out. If you have any questions for the show, don't hesitate to pop them in the comments below. We're always trying to expand, trying to engage a little bit more, and without you, we can't do the show. So with that being said, I'm Benjamin J. You can follow me online, but please follow Form and Function online as well. And I think until the next episode, we'll see you next time. Thanks.